Hello, and thank you for tuning in as I discuss premarital counseling in part three, session three of my tutorial. And to reiterate, my name is Timothy Ware Sr. I am the founder and CEO of Essential Tools Counseling. And to the left, that beautiful lady in the photo with me is my beautiful wife, Dr. Zolisha Ware. She is the founder and CEO of Fearless Transformation Center. Now, she wears a couple of hats. She's also a chaplain and a pastor. And to the right, far right, the other beautiful lady is my daughter, Chantel Moore, and her husband, Stevenson Moore. They also work with me as well as my wife through both organizations. If you want additional information about either one of our organizations, please visit our website at www.fearlesstransformationcenters.com or at www.essentialtoolscounseling.com. In part one, we talked about 5 areas of concern. We defined marriage as it relates to how God uh, orchestrated marriage. In part two, we also talked about 5 additional areas of concerns as it relates to premarital counseling, and we dove a little bit further into some of the things that may arise, that as far as setting boundaries and things like that. But as far as part three, now we're focusing on the big day. Now we want to focus on things that's going to help us prepare for the big day, the wedding. First, it starts with it's all about love. And love is a choice, which means we have to compromise. We're not forced to love nobody. It's our choice to love people through respect, through spending time, through mutual bond. Relationship eventually uh, works its way to love status. But in order for us to, reach that mutual area of love, it has to compromise. It cannot just be about me. Because if it's always about what I want to do, what I say, and what I, like things like that, then it's a one-way relationship. So it's hard for you to love a person when you don't ever get to go do nothing you want to do, or they don't value what you say or value your opinion. Also, love grows from knowing and sharing with your significant other or equal partner. So if you're not willing to grow together, if you're not willing to gain knowledge together, if you're not willing to mature together, then you're definitely not going to be equal partnership. It's going to always be a selfish partnership. Partnership. So love is definitely about knowing and sharing together as partners, mutual partners. And I always like throwing in stats. But according to studies, and that's recent studies, 88% of people cited that love in general is very important reason that they got married. And this is ahead of making lifetime commitments, which was 81%, as well as ahead of companionship with 76%. So basically, love is most significant as to why most people say they uh, wanted to get married. And this was ahead of, thinking, hey, I just want to find somebody that I can have um, a long-term commitment with or companionship. Because again, you can be with somebody for 50 years, 40 years. And if you don't love them, you just a long time, cohabitation, a long time, just endured partnership. Or you just basically a fixture for a person for that many years. It's about love continued. And this comes from 1 Corinthians 13, chapter 4 through the 7th verse. If I was saved when I got married, I would have incorporated this into my vows, because uh, needless to say, the Apostle Paul summed it up as defining what love is. And depending on what version you read, of course, NIV reads it different. But as far as the King James version, it breaks it down as saying love. Some of them say charity, but it basically says love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. As you think about this scripture, think about it as it relates to your spouse. My spouse is patient. My spouse is kind. I don't see no envious part in my spouse. He doesn't boast about his accomplishment. He doesn't belittle me. He doesn't seem proud. He just seems happy. He seems honored. He realized that where he is now is because of the hard work and the prayers and the support that me as the spouse gave him. He doesn't dishonor me. He doesn't dishonor our marriage. I don't have to worry about him doing things that would betray our trust, betray our respect. He's not self-seeking. He's not having to have to go out and put certain things on, buy certain things to seek attention. His attention comes solely from seeing me, being in this relationship, being in this marriage, being in this household. He's not eagerly angered. We can communicate and sit down and discuss this situation that may upset him or may upset me. And we can use strategies we've gained to be able to resolve the conflict without either one of us going to bed angry, without any of us going to bed having said or did something that we wake up regretting. He doesn't keep records of my wrongdoing. We've all sinned. We've all fallen short to the glory of God. Woe is me to sit back and tell you about what you did yesterday. God said, don't focus on the speck or the splinter in my spouse's eye when I'm walking around with this huge beam log in my eyes of all the things I've done wrong. So he doesn't keep record of what I did wrong. He just rejoices in the happiness. He keeps encouraging me. Again, it's like that Carl Rogers humanistic, person-centered. Our relationship is like that. We use that approach. We only focus on our strengths. We don't worry about what we did wrong yesterday. We talk about what strengths you have that's going to help us get to tomorrow, and what strengths I bring that's going to help us get to tomorrow as well. He doesn't delight in the evil by rejoicing with the truth, meaning he don't have to constantly focus on the bad stuff just to be able to be right all the time. Well, you did this, you did that. Well, you lost your job. I'm the one that got a job. I'm the one paying your car note. So yeah, it's the truth, but you don't have to rejoice in your downfall or the evil. You just basically, baby, it's gonna be all right. It's unfortunate you lost your job, even if it was if the person's uh, uh, doing. We're gonna be all right. God's gonna provide for us. If it means me getting a second job, baby, let truth be told, we're gonna make it. We're gonna get through this thing to death do us part. My spouse is always protected. When we go different places, he cognitive of the surroundings. He making sure, hey, baby, you need to be home before it gets dark, or you don't need to travel to certain areas because it's bad. He protects me. He's always trustworthy, always hopeful, always perseveres no matter what he or she goes through. My spouse perseveres. Now, does that scripture bring a testimony to your relationship, or is it something that you need to work on in your relationship? That's what premarital counseling is for. That's what marital counseling is for. It makes you reevaluate how your love is, how you define your love. If it doesn't click on all these cylinders, go to premarital counseling, and perhaps you get a tune-up. On a scale of 1 to 5, rate your current relationship five being the worst, one being absolutely great. And then if you notice off to the side, and this is again, as I discussed this is something, even though I may only touch into each topic uh, in general, this is something that you can sit back as a couple and say, okay, how do you describe, for instance, you know, I need some help. Okay, describe why you need some help. And then as a couple, this is where premarital counselor come in. What we can do or what I can do. So if you say you need some help because every time you talk to me, I'm always yelling at you or I'm always doing something wrong. Okay, but let's work this out. What do I need to do that helps this relationship? Or yeah, you got a problem with the however how I don't budget or how I go out and buy different things. Okay, you describing it. So okay, what can I do? Okay, every just because Jordan come out with new shoes every so many months or so many years don't mean you got to have Jordans. As you get older, let's change things up. So that what I can do, that is the applicable way that you can work together. That's the solution. The describing is you describing the problem. So again, I present these things in my tutorial or through my introductional discussions to give you the template to go behind the scenes when you stop watching the video to pull up certain aspects of the video and say, okay, I thought maybe we were at number one, but you know what? Maybe really we may be at number two. Things are pretty good, but I think that if we downsize a few things, I've been reading that if we get a fire stick or we stream some different things, we can turn off the cable because God knows cable bills like 200 something dollars. I noticed that your car is kind of messing up and I got a newer vehicle. So guess what? I'm gonna give you my vehicle and then I'm gonna take your clunker and hopefully we can hold off for maybe a year or some things like that. So things like that is things you can do to help your relationship to get to that. Oh, I'm feeling great. I woke up this morning and we're great. Also, what you want to do is we've already talked about, why you get married, where your relationship fits. But as you're approaching that magical day, your moment, your I do, you want to be able to close unwanted doors. If you notice my little sign, it says, please close door when you exit. Thank you. That's basically saying as God transitions you out of something and he opens up a new door, thank God and close that door he just brought you out of. Basically, when I'm talking about unwanted doors, past relationships, you got that person that for whatever reason you broke up, but he's still calling, he's still texting you, and he's still trying to get with you. You need to sever that tie, close that unwanted door, make it definitive. Hey, look, I'm about to get married. I love her or I love him. I would really respect it if you do not text me. I really respect you, if you do not call me anymore. And you don't have to be rude, but just let them know that, hey, what we had in the past is done. It's no longer us. If you want to move forward as just being friends, I have no problem with that. But anything that has to mean communication, it has to do so with the awareness that my significant other know about this. Don't text me at inappropriate hours. Don't try to communicate with me inappropriate hours. Don't try to communicate with me inappropriately. Also, past intimate partners. That's very important. If uh, here you is in, because again, we're not just talking about premarital counseling as it relates to I've been living with my significant other for 10 years or 4 years or 5 years. Uh, First love, let's say that you've only been together for a month. If it just clicked and you just cannot see yourself with anybody else. It's situations where people have literally only dated or basically courted each other for 30 days, sometimes even 2 3 weeks, and it's like, hey, let's get married. So now all of a sudden, yeah, you may be planning the marriage, the wedding for several months or maybe a year, but basically you're still learning things about. So let's say, for instance, prior to you getting married, yeah, love at first sight, You looked into her eyes, she looked into your eyes, and just you started hearing the music playing. You started seeing the doves flying. You started seeing the roses blossoming. But guess what? 2 months ago, you had a sexual partner. Y'all broke it up. Maybe y'all is just you have a relationship like that that you only uh, uh, just sex partners. You got to tie that. You got to close that door. You got to sit there and have that conversation. Hey, look here. I'm finna get married. It was good what we was doing. Let's be respectful. It's never gonna happen again. Don't even insinuate it. Don't even bring it up. Close that door. Part ways with toxic people and things. If you got a person that, I mean, that's just negative, negative, negative. They drink too much. They smoke too much drugs. They always fight. They always create an issue, saying disrespectful things to women, disrespectful things to men. Close that door. Have that conversation. Look here, dude. If you cannot stop drinking, or if you can't conduct yourself in a more fashionable way, or you can't stop doing drugs, or you can't stop using profanity around my kids or around my significant other, dude, look here. I love you, but we're gonna have to have this at a minimal friendship. I see you when I think that you acceptable to be around, or when you even uh, more appropriate to be around. And lastly, and that goes back into that past intimate partners, past relationship. If anybody is for friends, coworkers, whatever, very flirtatious, or admire you, have that conversation with them. Hey, I'm getting married. Don't be at work in this. You've been married for 4 months, and then your significant other come to a job function. This dude, hey, sexy. Whoa, why you calling you sexy? Hey, Miss Jones, who is that? Oh, that's Mr. Smith. I didn't tell you. I changed my last name. I just kept my same last name, but this is my husband. Now all of a sudden he's sitting there like, uh, you could have told me that. So it's just like that. So you want to close all those unwanted doors so God can open up new doors. Men, wounds, anything in the past that hurt you. And again, this is not something that you deliberately done. It's something that you had no control of. And I know this is a very sensitive topic, but it has to be addressed in premarital counseling. It has to be addressed in any type of counseling session, whether you're living with the person, you're engaged to the person, you're married, and you haven't really gotten healing and deliverance from these areas. But it starts with sexual assault. I did a survey, did a study. I want to say, and it's been a while. I apologize. I'm not inaccurate, but I want to say it was somewhere around 55% of all females at some point have been sexually assaulted. And out of that 55 or 60 some percent, it's like maybe 30, if not 40 some percent of them, it happened from a loved one or someone you know, meaning not just loved one, meaning that somebody you've been dating and you don't want to be intimate with that person, and then whatever happened, he sexually assaults you. So when I say somebody you know, those statistics are through the roof, and especially during this time of uh, uh, me time, for its Me Too movement. You have to be as sensitive to females, and but you also have to be willing to open up that door to provide and care, especially as a counselor. And I say it as a testimony myself because I know years ago how it was through just hearsay and gossip, and somebody basically took advantage of me and basically accused me of the same thing. But in this situation, it went through civil court. And civil court is completely different because civil court goes through preponderance of evidence. It's not like through regular court where it's by reasonable doubt. So they basically twisted words, twisted conversation, but it goes back to why you need to close uh, open doors in men wounds, because that characteristic, that personality uh, was presented in me as far as me being flirtatious, and me being not genuine when it came to a relationship. So they were basically able to use uh, other past situation to basically narrate a story, and it end up I ended up going to civil court losing the case, but luckily by the grace of God, additional factual information came out, and I were able to through appeals process reverse all that information. But you go through public humiliation, but again, that allowed me to see face to face what it's like to go through something traumatic, knowing that you didn't do something, but yet you still have to walk in humility, and that what basically what catapult me into getting back into school and gaining my degree in theology, as well as gaining my degree in a master's degree in psychology, Christian counseling, because I wanted to make sure that not only if a person have went through that situation, I provide godly counsel to address that matter, but it's a situation where it may not be very many, but 20, if not 30% of males or even females that's accused of sexual assault didn't do the situation. So you also have to look at it from this perspective. They're considered a victim in the end as well too, because then they need to have that wound mended as well too. But not to get off topic, but again, I like to have, and my wife also likes me to, as I'm doing these discussions in these tutorials, to be honest. Again, this is not about hiding things. It's about me presenting areas in my life that I've been through that not only allow me to better myself, but to also be able to minister through Christian counseling to be able to help some other people. And that's these topics come up during marital counseling. I bring up my situation, let them know these are areas you need to be dealing with as a spouse. If somebody put you through something like that through the criminal system or through the legal system, that's going to put a strain on your family. You need to be able to address that monetarily, emotionally, as well as physically. And also, if you've been abused, whether I'm talking is, this is, as you sitting there as the spouse, and you need to address this to the other spouse. Be honest. If you was a bully, did you abuse somebody mentally? Did you abuse somebody physically? You want to discuss that, because again, we get into this era now where, man, God help us. I mean, you done bully somebody for 4 or 5 years. You finna get married. You got people now that's showing up to your job. You got people that's showing up. We've had situations where people done showed up to funerals of all places and killed people. So we talking probably 5 mass shootings, 6 mass shootings a month. So if you bullied somebody, abused somebody mentally or physically, you need to bring this up during premarital counseling. I don't care if it was 4 days ago, 4 months ago, 4 years ago, 15 years ago, high school, grade school. Talk about this, because again, as you mature, God's gonna reveal some things to you, and you're gonna reach another level where before He open up that next door, you may be convicted to be able. God tell you you need to go back to Jimmy when you was talking crazy to him or abusing him or bullying him when he was a kid, and apologize. It may be something he needs to hear that apology from you, and he'll be able to get reconciliation from that forgiveness. Also, you broke up somebody else's marriage or relationship. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves. Premarital counseling is not just about you talking about stuff that may arise, or you talking about things that you did in the past, or things you did that you may currently doing. It's about things that you done wrong. You knew you was messing with the female that was married. You knew you was messing with a guy that was married. And through those actions, again, it's mutual. I mean, because it takes two people to commit a sin, but yet your actions broke that marriage up. You need to be truthful about that, and that way, because for instance, if that doesn't come up, let's say for instance, an example, if I know for sure, 7, 8 years ago, and I've been married, many years now, since 2001, and I've been with my wife since 1993. We was in high school sweetheart. So I'm just using an example. Let's say 7 years ago, I messed with this female, and I ended up breaking up their marriage. So here it is. I'm sitting there, and we've been married for 3, 4 years, and all of a sudden, I run into that female. She destroyed you destroyed my life, and I run into him. You destroyed my life. I really loved her. You destroyed it. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there like, whoa. Now I gotta explain it to my wife. Hey, I forgot to tell you, 4 years before we got married, I was messing with so and so, and yeah, she was married, and I broke up, they married, blah blah blah. But I mean, and also, and this sounds funny, the last one, but men wounds. It goes back to that breaking up, hurting somebody's heart. Was you a runaway bride or a runaway groom? That happens. That's not just a movie. You get some people that, I mean, you plan right up to the day. Here she is at the church. She dressed. She got her makeup. Her and her bridesmaids done took they pictures, and were the groom. He gone. He done moved. He ain't said nothing. Vice versa. You there? You in your tux? You looking good? You got your hair cut? You looking sharp? You there with your groomsmen? And where's the bride? She gone. So if that's not happening, let's discuss this because we don't want this to happen again. God opens up new doors. You close them unwanted doors. You mend them hurt wounds. God gonna open up some new doors. And what I said is our past, meaning our mistakes, our shortcomings, our sinful behavior, whatever it is, will always resurface or haunt you unless we unless we allow God to intervene, transform our lives, and to change the trajectory of our lives. And change the trajectory of our relationship, change the trajectory of our marriage. And again, we get back into that uh, cognitive behavior. We are all products of learned behavior. We didn't just come out of the womb knowing what it was like to be a husband or what it was like to be a wife. No, we learned this from how we saw others interact and behave in marriage. So if our moms and dad had a healthy and long, prosperous marriage, and you seen them affectionate, you seen them loving, you seen the dad go out to work and come in, and the wife was loving, things like that. You got firsthand from experience, learned behavior of what a good marriage was. But vice versa, if uh, daddy was a pimp and mama was out there just doing whatever, you didn't see what a good marriage was like. You constantly heard arguing, fighting, bickering, all that stuff. You grew up thinking, oh, man, marriage means, well, my wife doesn't do what I'm supposed to do, man, she get a black eye, you know. So we're all products of learned behavior. Also, it says that God tells husbands and wives, here am I. I'm standing at the door of your relationship. I'm standing at the door of your marriage. I'm knocking. If you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in and eat with you. And you can eat with me. Basically, what it's saying, that's Revelation 4:20. Man, if you just acknowledge that, you know, I'm God Almighty. My son died on the cross that all may, you know, enjoy the fruits of grace and his mercy. And just repent, just acknowledge, just bring me into your relationship, bring me into your marriage. I'm here knocking. I basically what he's saying is everything I've told you thus far, as far as any issue may arise, he's basically telling you we within ourselves, yeah, we can get the counseling, yes, we can get the strategies, yes, we can get the skills, yes, we can get the tools, we can learn from experience, but yet, if you do not allow God to intervene, if God doesn't change our mindset, if God doesn't change the trajectory of where we going in our life or how we speak in our life, how we doing things in life, He's at the door knocking, saying, "Here I am. I'm gonna give you the correct tools, the biblical tools, the Christian tools, the foundational tools that's gonna allow you to be a prosperous husband, be a prosperous wife, be a prosperous marriage." Man, when you do that, man, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna give you all these food, I'm gonna give you all this knowledge, I'm gonna give you all this wisdom. And then likewise, I'm gonna return the favor by just accepting your grace, accepting the worship you provide me, accepting the prayers that you've given me. And lastly, it's not a matter of whether God opened doors. It's a matter of what doors he opens and whether or not you are willing to walk through them. And as a Christian and as a Christian counselor, and I'm speaking not only for myself, I'm speaking for Essential Tools Counseling, I'm speaking for my wife, Dr. Alicia Ware, and Fearless Transformation Center, as well as her ministry, Fearless Fire. and as well as my daughter Chantel Moore and her husband Stevenson Moore, which are both pastors, as well as over their ministry. What we're saying is basically God is not going to open the door that you won't open. He's going to open up the door that's within his will. And it's not going to be when you think it should be. So it's not about him opening doors. Oh, he's going to open doors as long as you obedient, as long as you prayerful, as long as you righteous, as long as you bringing God into your marriage, as long as you respecting your wife, as long as you respecting your husband. He's going to open them doors. You better believe that he's going to open the doors, but you got to be willing to walk through them whenever he wants you to. He may take you through a different direction. You may be praying right now, God, I'm about to get married. I don't think that me and my wife make enough money. He's telling you, walk through that door of marriage and just trust and believe in him. Do the right things to honor your wife. Do the right thing to honor your husband. Do the right thing to honor your relationship. Do the right thing to honor God. And he gonna open up that door. But when he open up that door, you can better be willing, and you better be willing to walk through that door. Because it may not be the promotion through your job. It may be the promotion through him talking with you and saying, hey, my son, my daughter, I noticed you got a gift. I'm going to tweak that gift. I'm about to plant water on that gift, and we finna sprout that gift up. But I need you, son or daughter, to open up your business. You got to be willing to do that. It may be ministry. He may tell you, hey, you finna get into ministry, but be willing to go through that door when he open it. And that's what marriage is about. That's what premarital counseling is about. It's about giving you the tools to let you know that God is going to open doors if you allow him and you accept him. How we allow God to open new doors. First of all, both husband, wife, both spouse, both boyfriend, girlfriend must have a genuine relationship with God. And I said genuine. I'm not saying playing church. I'm not saying playing Christianity. I'm not saying playing I love God, but yet you still out there doing disrespectful and sinful things. I'm saying a general relationship with God through worship and prayer is when God begins to open up new avenues. He begins to open up new avenues in your relationship. He says the windows of heaven will open up, and he'll pour out many blessings upon you. Also, when couples read the word of God continuously, religiously read it, to get an understanding, to get the knowledge of his word. You sitting down as husband and wife, you sitting down as a couple, and you seeking God's word, you talking to godly people that understand the Bible, pastors, religious leaders, not your mama that got a pint of Hennessy and a joint, but because she read the Bible, calling herself a prophet or some a chosen vessel. No, I'm talking about somebody to live a righteous life that honestly, genuinely have a relationship with God. Sit down with them and get a better understanding, and pray to God that He will reveal some things through His Word that will give you the knowledge and understanding of His Word, as well as a reverential fear to worship and pray and honor God, as well as your wife and your spouse. Also, it comes in 3-part, and I say this as 3-part as far as confirmation, and it comes with the confirmation in your spirit. You get it in that being. God prick your spirit to let you know that it's going to be all right. God pricks your spirit to let you know it's Him that's talking to you. He's pricking your spirit to let you know, hey, I'm going to open up this door to move you and your spouse into another level that's going to bless you financially, that's going to bless you spiritually, going to bless you physically. And second is you confirm it in your family. You sitting down, you have that mutual respect with your spouse. You have that mutual respect with your kids. You have that mutual respect with your in-laws. And again, that comes with having that conversation during your initial stages of your premarital counseling, where you nip in the bud those negative things that my mama may say to my spouse, or your mama may say to me. You nip in the bud where you have a mutual agreement as to we all moving in one direction. That's in growth. That's in developing a mutual relationship, a mutual respect, of a marital relationship. And lastly, it's the confirmation in wise counsel. That's that pastor. That's that religious leader. You seeking wise counsel, not going down there to the liquor store, to the barber shop, getting gossip, and then you bringing it back, and then you telling your spouse what you finna do next, and then you end up getting caught up in a Ponzi scheme and lose your whole savings, or you end up um, getting caught up into something you shouldn't be caught into. So it's confirmation and wise counsel. Iron sharpening iron. Your pastor or religious leader gonna pray on it. They're gonna give you confirmation. Yeah, God gave me this in my spirit. Yes, God opened up that door for you to go to that next job. Yeah, God opened up that door. He's opened up that door for you to buy that house or to sell that smaller house to get a bigger house. That's key. And lastly, this is very important, how we allow God to open up doors. And you see that picture. And I went through a lot of different photos to pick the right one. But I wanted you to see just that, how they not distracted. They fixated on what the task is supposed to be. Is what's moving forward, plowing. Evenly yoked, equally yoked. You and your wife got that yoke around your neck. And that's in the biblical days and back in the day. They have the iron, but then it was the wood. You had the pins that kept it, and you had to have equal with me. And you had to go through your flock, and you had to find the oxen that was around the same height, around the same bill, willing to pull the same load. You couldn't have a big ox and a small ox. They wasn't equally yoked. They weren't equally compatible. So basically, it says couples must be equally yoked, moving in the same direction, not just emotionally, but spiritually and physically. In 1 Corinthians, we find this in 7th chapter, the 16th verse. It says, "How do we have wife? How do we know wife? Whether you will save your husband, or how do you know husband? Whether you will save your wife." Again, how do you know wife? Whether you will save your husband, or how do you know husband? Whether you will save your wife. That's that equally yoked. When you completely understand each other, when you both moving in that same direction, you're not worried about your husband doing something out of the ordinary or something that would disrespect you or your marriage. You're equally yoked. That way, when a bind or situation come up, you know that your husband is going to ride or die to make sure you safe, and vice versa. Your wife is going to ride or die to make sure that husband's going. We're going to make sacrifices. We're going to compromise. We're going to make some compromises. We're going to sell some things. We're going to downgrade some stuff. But how do I know you going to survive? How I know I'm going to save you is because I know that he going to sacrifice some things. He ain't going to just keep buying Jordans. He not going to keep on buying the latest gaming system. He not going to buy the latest guns or stockpile ammo. I know that he going to make monetary decisions that's going to save my life and make me a better wife and make us a better family. And lastly, it's no I in success. I know we always hear that it's no I in team, but it's no I in success either. I tell people this in premarital counseling session as well as counseling sessions when they dealing with conflict and they going through different things. Don't reflect on the back. Moving forward, moving into your next phase of where you want to go. Look at a blank piece of paper and allow God to create and narrate a brand new story. Again, it gets into that Carl Rogers humanistic, person-centered approach. You want to build on the strengths. What are the strengths of the marriage? What are the strengths of my spouse? And you want to basically start narrating your story with the strength. You never want when have you ever heard a fairy tale story? Once upon a time, there was an ugly prince that married an ugly, princess. They end up getting cancer and died. End of the story. It's not like that. It's always about the strengths. So that's what you want to do that success is about you compromising I and then we is moving forward, equally yoked to move to that success. Yes, some situations where I may get the promotion before my wife do, or my wife may get the promotion before I do. But again, as she get that promotion, let's say she get a $20,000 promotion, we compromise and say, okay, how can we use that $20,000 to benefit both of us? Yeah, I'm not discrediting her providing a savings for herself and retirement for herself and things like that. But what I'm saying is, just because she get a raise in her check each paycheck is $1,000 more, that doesn't mean that now all of a sudden she go from getting her hair done once a month to getting it done 3 times a month, or getting her nails done 4 times a month, things like that. It's no, we working together to allow God to, because he provided that increase. So how are we going to do this together to get us to the next level? Because again, we're in a dispensation right now, especially with this COVID, that yeah, we're working today, but shoot, they may be downsizing or maybe laying people off the next day. So we want to be mutually together, equally yoked, to be able to financially save and prepare, agree upon the wedding. And now we're getting into the aspects of actually dealing with the big day. And basically, I'm going to breeze through them and just basically say it without giving a lot of discussion on it, because they basically, I mean, it sums it up. You pretty much know whether you want a huge wedding or small wedding. You need to discuss that. One person can't be fixated on a huge wedding, but your budget don't provide for a huge wedding. So you need to come to that agreement. Whether it's a church wedding, whether it's a banquet wedding, whether it's a courthouse, let's come to an agreement. Name changes. Again, we got situations where traditionally the norm is, you take the husband and wife, but now with actors and movie stars, now we into that more and more people are taking a hyphenated name, and even we get some people that, especially when it comes to rich people, things like that. Oh no, I ain't taking your last name because I've been established as being so and so, so and so. So they don't even take the husband's last name. They remain the same name even though they married. So you want to agree upon that, whether or not you going how the name is going to affect, and also you want to talk about who's paying for the wedding. I mean, usually traditional spoils culture. We get out of that what was cultural and things like that because we try to pass off the buck. But technically, the norm is the parents of the bride typically pays for the wedding. But if you're in a mutual agreement, then sometimes it's a situation where you have both, you know, the parent of both one, the father of both of them come together and work together, or you got, which is a last resort, is you just kind of work together and you know, the bride's parents and the groom's parents work together and they split it 50-50. And like I said, luckily my wife does a good job when it comes to doing receptions, and she's very gifted when it comes to decorative as well as saving money when it comes to planning things like this. So she planned my daughter's wedding, and granted, my son-in-law family pitched in a little bit, but not enough that made a difference. So me and my wife shelled out a good penny, and you see that the average wedding is $12,000 to $18,000. Let's just say we was in that range because again, this was something that me and my wife sat down and discussed. We only have one daughter. She wanted a fairy tale wedding, and you best believe my wife planned a fairy tale wedding. It was spectacular. It's something that she is going to be able to tell her kids about. And now, as she's tells those stories, but not only that, but the nieces and the aunties and the female cousin that was involved in that wedding now sees what a real wedding can be like. Prepare for the ceremony, wedding colors, who gonna be the best man, who gonna be the maid of honor. Again, prepare for this. There's grip on these things, because if my best man all the time disrespect, all stuff, we got to agree on that stuff. Let us know so we can have that stuff prepared where we can, especially for the ceremony. And I get into this. I picked my best man, and we didn't talk about this stuff as far as, okay, you need to get ready to make the speech at the reception and things like that. We just assume that everybody know if you're the best man or you the bridesmaid or maid of honor, you made the speech. So here we is at the reception and we about to make the thing, and he up there like, it's like, are you kidding me? So you want to make sure you prepare for that. Who is going to be your best man? Who is going to be your maid of honor? What are you going to say? Make sure you say the right thing. Don't say nothing from each one of our pasts. Keep it professional. Keep it religious. Keep it PG-13. How many groomsmen and how many bridesmaids is going to be? You need to prepare for that and agree for it because again, it costs money. You want to make sure that okay, if I'm gonna have 10 groomsmen, I got to make sure that the vineyard is going to be able to allow 10 people to stand up there. I want to make sure that if I'm picking Michael for my groomsmen, do Michael have money to cover that? Do I need to pay for the tuxedo? Am I putting a percentage on the tuxedo? Same way with the bridesmaid. Wedding song, agree up on that stuff, prepare for it. Who gonna sing the wedding song? It's gonna be recorded. Vows, are we gonna have the pastor or the person officiating the ceremony read the vows? Are we going to have our own vows? How long are the vows? How creative am I going to sing my vows? Am I going to write a poetry? Am I going to, who knows? Have that set aside. Who's officiating it? Is it going to be a judge? Is it going to be the pastor? Is it going to be your brother? That's a brother married us. He's a pastor. Symbolic gestures, like especially when you're talking about the black culture, jumping the broom. Are you going to do that? Are you going the mother or the grandmother going to light the candles? It's a lot of things that's symbolic that we want to do. Reading of the Lord's Prayer, the praying over the 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 bride and the groom with the pastor before they even come out there. Things like that. You want to, whatever symbolic or religious gestures you want to do, you want to prepare for that and make sure you have somebody. Like I said, for my daughter's wedding, we had a religious leader that was in there with the bride and a religious leader that was in there with the groom. But we also had religious leaders that were on the entry door, bringing people in and make sure that they were atmosphere was correct, people's spirit was correct. If anybody came in that looked like they were high, anybody that came in looked like they had been drinking, yeah, you on the list, but no, you're not coming in. Making sure everybody was spirit. We had somebody there that was greeting them that had a good attitude. God bless you. Happy to be here. Here's, we gave gifts, things like that that made it a good atmosphere. So you want to prepare for things like that. Reception. Where is the reception going to be? Is it going to be at the area where you having the wedding? Directions is easy to get to. You want all these things to be prepared and planned because again, it's your wedding day, but you don't want to make it so much of an inconvenience where, the wedding is at this church over here, but then you have the reception clear across town, but you only have a reception hall for 2 hours, but it takes you 25 minutes to get there. And last, most important, you want to prepare for the bachelor party and the bachelorette party. It sounds crazy, but you want to get right down to the top. Okay, this is what's tolerated. This is what's not going to be tolerated. Especially if you're a man or woman of God. Are you doing whatever you want to do? Hey, look, this is what's going to happen. This is what ain't going to happen. And we need to stick with this. Get all that flamboyant desires out of your mind, and you need to let your best man and your groomsmen as well as your maid of honor and your bridesmaid know, hey, no, we ain't doing, we ain't getting drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning knowing we got to be at the church by 7 o'clock taking pictures and getting dressed. So you want to make sure you get all that stuff situated as far as how you going to conduct your bachelorette party, how you going to conduct your bachelor party, whether or not y'all just going to sit around, exchange gifts, things like that. Continue the celebration. We want to talk about the after party. Where is it going to be? Like I said, me and my wife at the time, we were not safe. So when we had our wedding, we had our ceremony at a different place where it was all you can eat food. Then we went out later that night. It was and I got it as for the intimate setting. It was just me, my brothers, and things like that. Intimate. It wasn't no entourage. It was a small setting. We went out. We fellowshiped a little while at the club and want a babysitter. Again, You want to prepare this. This sounds crazy, and premarital counseling prepares you for that. Because again, guess what? If you go to a wedding, especially you get some of these new weddings where the reception is all you can eat and all you can drink. Yeah, grandma or mom was supposed to be watching the kids when y'all got home, and you look up and mom and grandma are on the floor intoxicated. So you want to prepare for that. This is my babysitter. You know, I know this person is reliable. I know this person is going to be there. Not the person to sit there and eat all too much and then they throwing up and you got it. So you want to prepare to have a reliable babysitter because again, it gets down to that honeymoon. It gets down to consummating a marriage. It's about your time. Until death do us part. That's a part of traditional vows. You want to know that choosing to stay and fight for your marriage is worth it. Also, you want to know that surrounding yourself with supportive people who will fight for you as well as your marriage and not tear you down is a part of until death do us part. Again, you surround yourself with supportive people that's constantly building up your marriage. It's constantly bringing positive things to your marriage. You don't get this negative thing seeping into you where yeah, he didn't do this, man, he didn't do that. And you start to talk about divorce and separation. You want to constantly keep your people. So even when you have conflict arise, them supportive people is giving you biblical instruction, biblical things that's going to give you what you need to get you through that situation. And don't try to change your spouse. It ain't about trying to change him. It's about growing together. And most definitely keep divorce and separation off the table. You going right off in the thing saying, I'm gonna be with you to death do you part. I've done my research and I've invested in you through courtship, through living with you prior to it, or whatever situation may be. But we're very compatible. We're gonna work this thing out. We're not going to bed angry. We're not doing nothing. We're gonna work this thing out. We to death do part. And lastly, I just wanted to leave this statistic with you. And this is based on 2020. I found this unique because that was during COVID. And even though the rates were soared for the year of 2020, the rates went down as far as divorce. That's kind of unique. But it says 50% of all marriages in the U.S. ended in divorce or separation. In general, 41% of first time marriages end in divorce. And lastly, as I prepare to close, we have now an early marriage struggle example. So I just don't want to provide you with premarital counseling. I want to provide you with something that gives you the tools or preparation as far as you married now, and now it's going to prepare you to start thinking about critical things that you can do to if a situation like this should arise. And this situation here is Jack and Jill. And again, as you hear me read my example, these are just made up names, and these are not actual case studies. These are just examples based upon some of the things that I've dealt with in counseling, but I've mixed some things around, and I've also changed the name to generic names like Jack and Jill, Jane Doe, John Doe type of things. But it says Jack and Jill got married 4 years ago. They have two young children. Their initial love and attraction has turned into constant bickering and arguing. They now realize how different they are from each other. Every interaction seems to be a battle and is affecting every aspect of their lives. They wonder what happened to the love and affection they felt towards each other at the beginning of their relationship. And again, this is very important. If anybody that's viewing this or hearing this, put yourself in a situation of Jack and Jill. You may not be married now, but if, let's say, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, this situation would present itself. But we don't know what circumstances, what's going to rise, loss of a job, love of a lost one, loss of a loved one, whatever situation may, terminal illness, whatever situation that may change a person's attitude, that may just cause complete chaos in a relationship. Put yourself in a situation, okay? If this happened, how can we address this? Or even if you engage right now in somewhat happened, how can you dive into this? How can you analyze this? How can you come up with a solution? How can you come up with skills that you can embed up in your spirit that will prepare you for if this should arise, or if this arises now, how you can tackle it and overcome it? These are what these examples are for. This is what this video is about. And as I come to my conclusion, again, if you or someone you know is considering engagement or marriage, or maybe somebody's already married and going through something, and you heard or you read something in this video power presentation, and you want to further discuss it, feel free to reach out to any one of our qualified Christian counsel, whether that be through Essential Tool Counseling or whether it be through Fearless Transformation Center. Again, that's with me, Tim Ware Sr., or with my beautiful wife, Dr. Zolicia Ware, or whether it be through my daughter, do also minister and do counseling, Chantel Moore, or her husband as well, who's a pastor and does counseling, Stevenson Moore. You can feel free to either uh, come visit us or write us. And you can write with me through Essential Tools Counseling or through any one of us through Fearless Transformation Center, which is located at 808 South El Dorado Road, Suite 100, Unit G. That's in Bloomington, Illinois, 61761. And if you want to contact us, you can also contact us through our website, which is www.fearlesstransformationcenters.com or www.essentialtoolscounseling.com. And again, just to reiterate the address, if you stay within close proximity and you want to come and visit us for counseling, or you want to come and visit us for anything that relates to anything you may be going through, the address is 808 South El Dorado Road, Suite 100, Unit G, Bloomington, Illinois, 61761. And God created marriage, and He wants your marriage to succeed. God bless you, and I hope you enjoyed not only this part three, but if you have not tuned in to watch part one and part two, I highly recommend you read them, view each one of them, part one, part two, part three. They all are very informative. God bless you.